Welcome to Hide and Seek TV. It's your boy Hide and Seek, and I'm back again with another video. And I'm going to do a very deep breakdown concerning the NBA Finals, and I'm going to be covering the symbology and all of this and what it's all symbolic for, so everybody can understand what's really going on. So, I want to talk about it with Tatum and Brown. I'm going to be covering about Jerry West, Bill Walton, and different, facets of all of this stuff. But first off, I want to just talk about it, how, obviously the Celtics have won the championship, and when you understand it, the symbology, you have two J's. You got a Jason Tatum, and you got a Jaylen Brown. You see what I'm saying? And it's very significant because, Jaylen Brown, he wears number 7. And, that's just the number of completion. And then, he comes out of Atlanta. He comes out the A, which I'm going to be getting into in a minute so y'all can understand further. And you got the other J that comes out of St. Louis, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Jason Tatum from St. Louis. So when you understand the two J's, it's just all symbolic. Excuse the whitewashing, but I want to just use an example. But it's just all symbolic of the two J's just goes into the two hooks, the two rods of God. So, it goes into the Messiah, the first coming, the crucifixion, and then the second coming, the Messiah, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But as it's written, in that day there should be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord, and there should be for a sign and for a witness unto the Lord of hosts, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. So, the top of the altar is measured at 76 degrees. That foreshadows the kingdom to come. The altars stand 5,776 inches. So when you understand that, it was all made to testify and be a witness that the Lord was returning. So that first 5 goes into the 5th day. That second 7 goes into the first 7 goes into the 7th month for July. And then you got the 76 for the 1976, which I'm going to get into in a minute. So that's why the return date was July 5th, 1976, and that's what they've been hiding. That's why they pushed their Independence Day, July 4th, 1776, because they was going to have their 200 years of prosperity before the Messiah's return. And they like to say they want to be independent, so they shot their fireworks up to heaven, saying, this is our day, this is our world. They showing their strength, saying we are strong, we don't need a Messiah. You know what I mean? That's why I remember I showed how Barack Obama said, we don't need a Messiah. All we need is hardworking people. So they trying to say, we don't, you ain't going to send your judgment on us. We'll just send our fire up to you. They want to keep everybody in a hell state of ignorance so people can be in hell in the spirit realm, when they time, when people's lives fulfill. They want everybody in hell. They don't want nobody to be a part of the holy kingdom of Judah, So, as it's written in Revelation 12, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, and behold, a woman clothed with the sun and moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, and she being with child, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in the heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her as soon as her child was born. And as she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God into his throne. So you see the 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 times 10 is the 70s, the 7 crowns for the 7th month. And that all goes into the UN because they already knew that the Messiah was returning. So that's why I said they was trying to slay him before he was born. So, that's why in 1970s they legalized abortion. The condom commercials became prevalent. Feminism and so many attacks they were using, during that time to try to prevent him from being born. They knew the time of the Messiah was returning July 5th, 1976. So you see that the Celtics is very significant because it goes into the rainbow. You remember it deals with the leprechaun, the clover, the leprechaun. You kind of see what I mean? So it deals with the rainbow throne of God. So they already know that time is fulfilling. That's why in 2022 they had to battle the Warriors, because the Warriors just represent the saints. In Zechariah 13:9, they go through the fire that are refined as gold. And that's why they connected to San Francisco with the Golden Gate Bridge. because you remember they used to play for Oakland. They went to Oakland for a while, then they came back to San Francisco, because that all just goes into the whole theme of that connection back with the bridge, with the Messiah, being our bridge to the Father. So you see, that's why all that stuff is symbolic. They already knew that time was coming where the saints preparing to, gain their treasures of heaven. The kingdom is fulfilling. So you see why they had to have Luca, they had to battle against Lou, and Kyrie. Kyrie just means Yah, and then Luca because, when you translate praise the Lord, it becomes Louis eternal. So you understand Luca. So hallelujah. Holly means to praise, Louis, eternal Yah. That's why Jason Tatum got to be from St. Louis, and then Jaylen Brown, you got the two J's. Jaylen Brown's from the A, which just deals with the altar blasphemy, the A. It looks like the altar, the pyramid. And then you got Jason Tatum from St. Louis battling against Luca and Kyrie, because Lou, like I said, is just the Louis eternal Yah, with Kyrie just meaning Yah. You see? And then, they come out of Dallas, hence the 776 zip code. Remember, I already explained all of this a long time ago, how the Messiah rises out of Texas. That's why Texas been prevalent, in sports, in the recent times, because they already know that time of the revealing is fulfilling. All revelation means is to reveal. So they already know he came through Port Arthur, Texas. And like I explained, how the Messiah is within Wichita, Kansas, because Wichita, Kansas area code is 316, and then hit John 3:16. And then that song, I can play it right quick in a minute, but I'll get into it later on. But yeah, everything, they already know that the Messiah is within Wichita. Because remember the Wizard of Oz, that's why they said we got to make it to Kansas. We got to make it back to Kansas. In Ezekiel 1:4, the Messiah be revealed within the whirlwind. That's why Kansas is in a tornado alley, dealing with the winds. And that's why on the Wizard of Oz, they made it back to Emerald City, which is just the holy kingdom of Judah. As it's written, the kingdom of Judah is as the emerald, in Revelation 4:3. And they want to make it back to Kansas, So it was all symbolic. That's why everything been dealing with Texas. You see what I'm saying? So you see how you got Luka Doncic. You see how he's all bandaged up, because they know that the Messiah is, that the whole thing with the Messiah preparing to become King of Kings, Lord of Lords over the whole earth. People are going to know who he is, as it's written in Hebrews 8:10 and 11. So you see, when you understand the word, like I said, Luca, the word Christ derives from the word Karas, Kara. Ka means soul, Ra means light, and Israel. So the Kara, that's why they love to destroy cars and all of that in movies. That's why they created the car, so that they can be their own God, because they already know that the Messiah incarnate in the flesh. Humans incarnate in the flesh. You kind of see what I mean? So that's why they love to have that car theme, because they know it deals with the body, that holds the soul. So you see, you got Luka Doncic, and you see he's Karas right now, because he's being prepared to be embalmed. Remember, Joseph in the scriptures got embalmed. Remember, Jacob got embalmed. You know what I mean? Wrapped to prepare for the afterlife. Because right now too, the Celtics coach name is what? It's Joe. I remember the old Celtics coach. Remember the one that was dealing with Nia Long? Remember, he got sent to Houston Rockets. So that's all symbolic right there. The connection with Texas. Remember, the Houston Rockets coach was a coach of Boston. And then now they got Joe, because Joe just goes into Joseph. You kind of see what I mean? The Messiah is going to be he's the king. You know what I mean? So Joseph became overseer of Egypt. And the Messiah is rising up, preparing for the Exodus to return back to the holy altars. Remember, Yahushua, Christ, when he was born the first time, remember, he had to flee to Egypt for safety, because Zion is a place of safety. That's the true Zion. They just hid it, and made it pagan. You kind of see what I mean? So there's no way you got all those connections with Texas. How do you go from sending your coach to Houston, now you battling Dallas Mavericks? And then Revelation 19:11, as it's written, the Messiah and his saints mount up on the white horses, which is just all symbolic of being in glory. So you see, you got Lou on the Mavericks with Kyrie, And you remember Kyrie used to play for the Celtics. And he used to play with King James. Hence the word of God become flesh to King James. You kind of see what I mean? He had to be trained up by LeBron, by King James. It's so symbolic, man. You see how they had to show this right here. I'm going to get into that 44 right quick in a minute. But you see how they had to show that right there with that 7 and 6 line up perfect. You see that with the 7-6? And then that's why, right, that's why Jason Tatum, he had to be, he couldn't win the finals MVP because, it's all symbolic. You know what I mean? The Messiah, as is written in Revelation 1:14-15, is a man that's the color of bronze. So that's why Jaylen Brown had to be the one to win the finals MVP, because he come out the A. You kind of see, the A just goes, like I said, into dealing with the altars. And then, Jason Tatum come out of St. Louis. He's the other J, the second Lewis thing, because that represents how the Messiah, is the gateway to the Father. And when you understand it too, he's mixed with, so-called mixed with, I think his mom is what they call Puerto Rican, so-called Puerto Rican, and that just goes into the northern tribes of Israel. You kind of see what I mean? So that deals with the whole theme of bringing the two sticks together in one hand. And that's why, even though he's the one who really had more points, etc., notice Jaylen Brown had to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and he had to be the one that wins Finals MVP. And on top of that, he has the biggest contract in the NBA. And, they said that he was too smart to be in the league. They didn't want to draft him. It just all goes into the whole thing of being overqualified. The King of King, Lord of Lords, blasphemy. And then dealing with all the money, because that deals with the treasures of heaven being stacked up. That's how they work, man. So you see Jason Tatum represents the two sticks, the two kingdoms becoming one in one hand of the Messiah. The gathering of the northern and southern tribes of Israel and making everybody one under the head tribe of Judah. That's how they work. And they be right in our face, you know what I'm saying? So you see, you got Jaylen Brown, like I said, that 7-6 right there. And I'm going to get into the 44 in a minute, why they had to show that. You see how when Kyrie and them was battling Thunder, you see they had 77-60. That's that 7-7-6 again. And then you see that 117 and 116, they go to 76 again when they had that comeback. You see, how do you have the game start out where you're down and you're down and it's 7-7-6, and then it ends with 1-1-7, 1-1-6? Come on, man. Battling against the Thunder, because the Thunder is just symbolic of the voice of God as thunder. The revelation being sounded off the trumpets of revelation. Same thing with Boston. The area code is 617. And the 7-6, the 6-7-7-6. And then, they won on 6-17. And then remember in 08, they won on 6-17. Remember when they won their first title after 22 years during that time, since 86. You see how they work? Both teams winning on 6-17 for Boston, because that just goes to that 76. So I want to get into all of this right quick, because it's very important, because Jerry West and Bill Walton. Remember the last finals that the Boston Celtics was in what, 2022 against Golden State. Remember, you had a Bill that died then, and then this year you got a Bill that died as well. Bill Walton and Bill Russell. So that all goes into that Bill, goes into Exodus 3:14. You see what I'm saying? Exodus 3:14 is very important. It's all coming together. Let's delve into this. So you see, let's delve into this, man. Let's talk about it. So Jerry West, remember Jerry West, he was he wore 44. You know what I mean? He wore number 44. So you know Obama was the 44th president. Okay? The Antichrist Barack Obama was the 44th president. And I may explain that. Remember 2 Corinthians 4:4, and the God of whom this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. So you see that the devil blinds the minds of the world, the whole world. He deceived the whole world in 4:4, 2 Corinthians. You see what I'm saying? And when you understand that 44 is very important, because that 44 just deals with the law. It deals with the Ark of the Covenant. It deals with the Ark of God. That 44. You see? So that's why you see the Clippers logo, it deals with the boat as well, the Ark symbology. You know, that's why this year they brought out that Clippers show. I'm going to do a breakdown on it when I finish it all. I'm like waiting for the whole thing to be over. I've been watching. I'm going to have to go back and review a little more again, but it's a lot of symbology. So that 44, you know, it deals with that law. So you got the law of righteousness, and then you got the law of the devil, which is lawlessness, do what thou wilt. So you see Jerry West is the 44 as well. So he had to die off because that all shows that the law of Obama is weakening. The law of Satan is weakening. You see what I'm saying? Same with the bills. All the bills are dying off, the main bills, because, you know, you had the Blazer, Portland Trail Blazer. The Blazer just deals with the fire, the blaze, you know. So that goes into the whole thing of basically, you know, dealing with how, you know, the saints' laws, the law of Zion is rising up. So the law of Satan got to be replaced. Remember, Jerry West is the logo of the NBA. You kind of see what I mean? So when you understand that, on the Clippers show, remember Jerry West was dealing what he was dealing with, like basically a lot of California teams too. Remember, he was associated with the Clippers as well. So you understand how all this stuff come together. You see how on the Clippers show, you see how they say, please hold for President Obama. You know, they got to say, oh, you know, it was during that time. You know, Obama was president. But no, look at what they do. And I'm talking about Obama perfect. They said this got to be perfect. And when I say perfect, I'm talking about Obama perfect. You know what I'm saying? And you see how they got to mention when he bought you a Louis Vuitton coin purse, they got to mention the Louis. And then Bill, with the world watching, you see? You remember Jerry West used to stay battling against Boston, you know, back then in the finals. You know, Bill Russell used to just keep, you know, doing his thing against the Lakers during that time. But you see that always got to try to overcome Bill. They couldn't, you know. So when you understand Jerry West, when you understand how symbolic the logo is, it's deep because, you know, as it's written, Christ is the rock, you know. So you see that's why he got the rock in his hand, the ball. And then you see they got that on the right, you know, on the right side. So they want to keep the rock on the right. Remember, as it's written, the Messiah will flash from the east to the west. Meaning the first time he was going to be born in the eastern hemisphere, you know, he had to go to his altars of Egypt and dwell in safety. And then in this time, he was going to be born in the western hemisphere in America with his brethren, and rise amongst his brethren and be in the midst of his people. So you see, he had to come out of Texas, Port Arthur, Texas. So you see why Jerry West is like, how the body doing. You see how the body is like in the red, basically trying to say they want to keep the Messiah just as a lamb sacrifice. And then the left side is dealing with the law in this instance. So they just showing that transition. That goes back to what I was talking about with the two J's, you know. The two J's, the two Lewises, the two rods of God, the first and second coming. You kind of see what I'm saying? So it's all right there, you know. You see that? How deep that goes, you know. That's why you remember that this year, remember you had to have that Damian Lillard trade to go play with Giannis. Remember you had to come out of Portland from the Blazers, because Damian just means you know, it goes into that omen, the omen child, the Damian, the Antichrist, you know, Lucifer. So you see, that's why he be dealing with the Hulu commercials, because, you know, Hulu is Yahuwah Lewis, you know, Lewis Eternal. You know, Yahuwah Yah, Lewis Eternal, Hulu. And that's why he be on there talking about the money and all of that with the ball. Talking about, yeah, you got to get the money. Remember all with the basketball, dealing with the cash and everything on that Hulu commercials. You know, all in our face. Like I could show y'all right quick. You know, cause they know through the Messiah, you know, you get your treasures. You see what I'm saying? No cable required, cause they don't want to have no bridge. They don't want to have no connection to the Father. They want you to just stay here on earth. You know, all in our face. That's why on NBA 2K21, remember Damian Lillard was the cover, and remember Zion was the cover. So which God were you gonna serve? Were you gonna serve Damian, or are you gonna serve, you know, Zion, the Williamson, the son of I am that I am? Because all Bill derives from is Exodus 3:14. You know, the will of I am that I am. Bill is short for William. So they will just let you know Zion Williamson. That's why he come through Louisiana. Because in Nehemiah 1:9, as it's written, you know, I would gather my people from where I choose to place my name. That's why in Deuteronomy 28:68, it said that you would go into Egypt again, but by boat. So we in spiritual Egypt. And it came through Louisiana ports. So you see how all this goes. So which God you going to serve? And you see they both got their hand on their thigh, because remember when in ancient with the covenants during the time of Abraham, remember you would put your hand in your thigh to make an oath. So who will your oath be with? Damien, Lucifer, or you gonna be with Zion, the law of Zion? You see how they deal with the white, black, and red for Damien, because that just goes into through the hidden blood oath. You know, you serve Lucifer. You know, you blood in and blood out. And then with the Williamson, you got the blue ordeal, because that just deals with the law of Zion, Judah. You know, order. You see his is yellow, white, and red, and blue. So you see that blue deals with law and order, and then the yellow goes into royalty, the crown. You see, it's serious, man. So that's all it's really saying. So that's why you see Damian Lillard had to be traded over there with the Greek Freak, because, you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, because that goes into how it says that they would, you know, in First Maccabees, you know, chapter 1, verse 13 through 15, how Israel would sell out and join up with the Greeks and do the ways of the Greeks, and forsook the holy covenant of the Lord and become wholly uncircumcised. So you see Damian had to link up with Greek Freak Giannis in Milwaukee, because that goes into the whole theme of how they, you know, they're the Bucks, you know, Milwaukee Bucks. So that just deals with the deers within the wilderness, you know, deals with the saints preparing for the exodus that those wicked hunters, the devil, you know, want to keep distracting saints and keep leading them to be caught up in his hunting, you know, leading souls into hell. Kind of, it's all symbolic. That's why Drew Holiday had to play for the Sixers and New Orleans. Remember, he got traded from Milwaukee to go play with Boston. And each time he got traded, he won a title his first year. So you see he went for New Orleans when he was out in Louisiana. He was a 76er, obviously the 76. And then, you know, he obviously played for Boston, dealing with the rainbow. And then he's Drew, Jerusalem, you know. And then he's the holiday, the holy day, the holy one of the Lord in the last days, symbolically, you know. So you see he had to leave out of there and go join up in Boston. You see. It's serious, man. And remember, who did they trade? They traded your boy that was Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. You know that Marcus, the mark us. That just deals with the marking of us, you know. Those who are many are called, few are chosen. The people gain having the mark of the Lord upon their soul. They're marked for the holy kingdom, those who are set apart. So it's marking us. Let us make man in our image. You know? So you see he had to go play in Memphis, because Memphis is just like Memphis, Egypt, dealing with the altars. You know, not far from Cairo, where the altars reside. You see? So you traded Marcus Smart for Drew Holiday. So you traded him for the Marcus for Jerusalem's holy day. You see? It's deep, man. You know. So you see why you had to have Luka and Kyrie, and then you had Carl. So you got Carl, Lou, and Lou. You got Carl, Lou, and Ya, man. So it's so symbolic because, like I explained before, remember Alice in Wonderland? Lewis Carroll is the one who created Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass and what Alice found there. So in 1 Corinthians 13:12, it says that through the glass we see darkly. So when you understand that, how serious that is, basically, like I explained before, the Messiah's name is Carol, for Cara, Lewis, Williams II. So it goes into Cara, Lewis Eternal, the I am that I am, the second coming. So you see how they had all three of them in the same playoffs battling each other, because through the Father and Son, you make it to the rainbow. That's why they had to battle against the rainbow throne of God. That's why they had to battle against what's his name, against the Boston Celtics, dealing with the rainbow. And that's why they made June the Pride Month for the LGBT. Around the time of Father's Day, because they know that all deals is all blasphemy of the rainbow throne of God. And you see, you had Anthony Edwards battling against them because it all goes into, as it's written, in the children of Reuben and the children of Gad, called the altar Ed, for it should be a witness between us that the Lord is God. So you got Ed, and then you got Carl, Ya for Kyrie, then Lewis, Luka. There's no way around that. All right there. You see? And the Messiah, like I said, July 5th, 1976. A few weeks, Father blessed the Messiah be 48 years old. So you see, Jerry West had to die at 86, and 8 times 6 is 48. And you remember Wilt Chamberlain. Remember, he ran around with Wilt, because and his dad name was William. And then, Wilt Chamberlain, remember, he played for the University of Kansas. There go the Kansas connection. And then you remember Jerry West, his wife name is Karen. His wife name is Karen, man. Cara. You see? He got him an old Karen, that's why they did that with that, not to digress, but that's why they did with that World Star. Remember, World Star dealing with Lucifer, the star, morning star. And then you got the star Moloch, World Star, while it was a lot of chaos. Remember, as it's written, behold, he come with clouds. Hebrews 12:1, we're the cloud of witnesses. And then 1976 is when Apple and Microsoft, the cloud, formed. You kind of see what I mean? So that's why they did that World Star, and then they went from that to Karens running around with the camera telling people to get their lives right. Telling them you need to stop doing all this blackness and all that black, get the blacks out. Because that just goes to all that black identity fading, because people gonna know they're Judah. People waking up to who their real identity, not no more blacks. You see what I'm saying? So that's what that whole Karen Cara theme is all about. Will Chamberlain. So, he was the chamber. So he deals with the altar. He's the William, and he had to die at 63 because that's 666. 6 times 3 is 18. You kind of see what I mean? Remember, Jerry West's finals record was 1-8. That's 18. And then remember Revelation 1:8, I am the Alpha and Omega. You kind of see what I mean? And then you remember the Celtics, they won the NBA Finals. They hanged up that 18th banner. You see? So it all comes together. There's no way around it. Remember Darius, nobody talking about him. You remember? Darius Morris just passed away not too long. What was that, like a month ago? Maybe that long ago? Darius Morris died. It all comes together. Darius Morris died, man. And you see right in the behind them, they got work in progress, and then they got Lewis. You see that? They got to have Lewis and then work in progress behind them, because they know that altar is about to be restored soon. The Exodus is about to fulfill. Remember, he played for the Lakers I think he played for the he played for the 76ers and he played for Louisiana, New Orleans. Come on, man. They're the same scenario, you know. There's no way around it, you know. Darius Morris, you know. And you see, you had Kristaps Porzingis and Luka. Remember, they used to play together in Texas. That was 776. And then you go from number 6 to him wearing the number 8, because that 8 deals with the eternal one. It deals with the infinity, the eternal one. He's Kristaps, he's Christ, and he deals with the 8, you know, the eternal one. You know, it's no way around it. That's why you see the 76ers, they have the logo of the body of the snake being chopped up, you know, because it all goes to how Satan's. You see, they got that bell because that deals with the ringing, the sounding off the alarm, waking up the saints. And you see how that snake's body is being, you know, chopped up and being dismembered, because that shows about the great revealing. Once that horn started sounding off, the truth being revealed, the name spreading, it's going to dismember the snake. The snake is just a body now. So now, you know, they still got their charades going on around with their sports, but they don't have full power over people that they used to have. Remember back in, say, 2016, when LeBron played against Golden State, everybody was watching that finals. You know, now people just look at the highlights. Now they would just say, oh, yeah, I saw it. You know, yeah, it was all right. Or I didn't even know who played in the finals. Even people I know who were avid hoop fans back in the day, you would talk about the fight. They're like, who in there? Who won it? So so wait, Dallas, they beat Timberwolves? Wow, that's I ain't even keeping up with it. Wow, okay. All right, who in the finals? Oh, Boston and Dallas? All right, what's the record right now? You know, who's up? Wait, 3-1? Man, yeah, that's over. They, you know, back in the day, man, you saw that? Oh man, you saw it 3 minutes and 38 seconds, man. Oh man, I had that on DVR, man. Oh man, Tatum hit a fadeaway 3. Oh, you know, you don't even hear that no more. Now it's just like people just they see it. Oh, okay, I saw it. I looked it up. Yeah, I saw some of the highlights from the game. Yeah, it looked straight. It was all right. The finals felt more like a first round NBA playoff game or like a regular season match, man. And I didn't even watch none of it. Only reason why I kept up with it, because it's as it's written, you know, let us watch and be sober, you know, and be aware of the signs so I know what's going on. But me just sitting down, I haven't watched the NBA finals. The last finals I watched was, I think, Toronto and Golden State. And I watched the Boston versus Golden State one, but that was all for the blasphemy as well. Like, I watched the games, but I'm talking about like watching to care. The last one I watched that I cared about was when LeBron got swept against Golden State, that 2018 year. That's the last time I really glued my eyes to the finals. But I haven't watched that stuff in years. Super Bowl, same thing, you know. It's like none of that stuff got power, man. Because that snake losing its strength, because as it's written, you know, in Genesis 3:15, and I will put an enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So the serpent was going to be crushed. You know, Celtics win the 2024 finals. Hint, the Celtics won the 24 finals. Celtics win the 08 finals. You know, Celtics won the 08 finals. That just goes into the Kobe again, the 08-24. You see? Because that all goes into that serpent on the pole. Remember, he was called the Black Mamba. And remember, he had to die off in a helicopter that was a 76B helicopter. So you see, that whole theme just goes into how, you know, this the Messiah is also, it's an all duality. The Messiah is the serpent on the pole as well that we looked upon for healing during the first Exodus. You know, he's the bronze serpent on the pole. So, you know, Kobe was mocking that, you know. Remember, the Messiah was hanged up. He was raised up on the cross and crucified in blasphemy. They say, you the king of Jews, then, you know, come down. Because they know that his whole objective in this life is to climb to the top of that altar. So you see, the finals, if you pay attention, this year was a lot of 5s. This year had a lot of fives. A lot of five. Boston beat Mavericks in 5. Mavericks beat Timberwolves in 5. You kind of see what I mean? At 5, because that just deals with the 5. It deals with the Son of Man. It's very, very important to understand how all of this stuff come together, and it all comes together, you know what I mean? It's all about understanding the symbology. So, when all these games mainly was up 3-1 because, that 3-1 is very significant. Because that 3-1, when you understand the Freemasons 31 step, that goes into when they observe themselves. Now you get into that 33rd degree. Now you getting into the time of that compass. Because remember it says, I would gather my people from the 4 corners of the earth. So, that goes into the whole time at the 31, deals with the whole time when you reach that point and now you stop to observe yourself and overcome yourself. Start learning your flaws. You remember on Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat had the like when you used to do like the mode when you would fight all the characters and you have that ladder, and remember they have that mirror game when you go through that mirror match and you fight yourself. Remember that? So it'd be like you got to go through that mirror match and you end up fighting yourself, because now you got to overcome the self and prepare for that transition. And that goes to what I was talking about earlier, the 2 J's, the first, second coming. Fulfilling the destiny. You kind of see what I mean? So you see that's why they do that 31. That a lot of these matches had 3-1. And you remember during the time of Joshua, when Israel conquered Canaan, remember get control of the promised land. Remember they had to defeat the 31 kings as well. So that's why you kept on seeing the 3-1 matchups in records, So you see Boston. Remember Boston had the battle against Indiana. Remember that? To go into the NBA Finals. And then you remember Lakers had to beat Indiana to win the in-season championship. Remember this year, Lakers hanged up an in-season championship, tournament champions, and Boston had the championship. Remember? So it all come together. You know what I'm saying? There's no way around none of this. They both hanged up banners and then Jerry West dies off. And then 2 years ago, Bill Russell died off. Come on, man. Remember? And when you pay attention to Indiana, it's very significant. Cause remember remember Indiana this year they hosted the All-Stars, Indianapolis, and that deals with what? They had the airport. And the All-Stars, because as it's written, we are the stars of heaven, saith the Lord. Remember the Father told Abraham his descendants will be as the stars of heaven. So you see they had the basketball at the airport. Remember they turned the airport into like a basketball court. Because they know the airport. They know we're preparing for the Exodus. As it's written in 1 Thessalonians 4:17, that, we would join the Lord in the air. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we forever be with the Lord. So that deals with the whole theme of the clouds, the gathering. Meeting the Lord in the air, the Exodus. That's why in 1 John 4:3 it said those who deny he come in flesh are antichrist. That's why they try to use the rapture and deceive the people. But I'll put that in the comment section below and you can watch that. So Indiana, they had to keep battling Indiana because it just deals with that Indiana Jones. He was always dealing with the ark. Remember? Lost ark. Remember, he was always running through the altars. So you remember Indiana Jones dealing with the ark. You remember I showed Jerry West dying off and he used to wear 44. Remember Kobe beat the Pacers to win his finals. Remember that? And remember he played 47 minutes in game 4. And remember Reggie Miller used to wear 3-1. Remember he used to wear number 31. Remember that? And remember Kobe had 28 points to beat the Pacers. And you see he played 47 minutes. And look at the whole thing, the 47 again. That deals with how the Messiah is 47, about to be 48. And then at 28, remember Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown 28 years old. You know, it all comes together, man. It's all connected. It's insane. You know, Jaylen Brown, remember he's a Muslim. You know, this all just the Christ-line that they're forming. And then, you know, Kyrie's a Muslim. All the Christ-line that's forming. You know, Allah has no son. You know, the Father has no son. You know, no son, no Lewis, no gathering. You know, no Exodus. You know, no law. You know, that's how they want to keep people trapped. I'll put that in the comment section below too. But you see, Paris this year is the main theme too. You know, dealing with the Olympics this year is in Paris. So when you understand, Paris is very serious. And you know, they wearing navy blue jeans. Team USA will be wearing navy blazers and blue jeans from Ralph Lauren. Because that Ralph Lauren just deals with the horse as well. The polo. Dealing with the man riding a horse. And then that navy blue, all that stuff goes into what I was telling y'all. It deals with the law and order. And then, you know, that it got to be in Paris because, remember I explained that a while back, you know, about how Judah, when you understand the tribes of Judah and Israel, remember we had control over Europe throughout the Dark Ages. And Judah was ruling over France. So when you understand, France is very important because it goes into that Louisiana connection, you know, with Lewis. That's why you remember Kanye and Jay-Z had the N-words and, you know, the N's in Paris. You know what I mean? I remember they was talking about, you know, we going gorillas, huh? You know? Because they know the Planet of the Apes is fulfilling. And remember King Kong was just at his altars on the new Godzilla movie with Kong. And then they just dropped that new Planet of the Apes movie. You know, dealing with coming into royalty. You know, Judah coming into power. And then you see how they were saying watch the throne because they know that the altars, they don't want the Messiah to climb that altar with his saints. The 144,000 casing stones of the pyramids having 144,000 standing on it with the Messiah at the top, as it's written in Revelation 14:1. You know, that's why all this stuff had to happen around the time with Kendrick Lamar too, because Kendrick Lamar battling Drake, destroying Drake, because Drake just is the dragon. And then Kendrick Lamar, remember I did this, tell y'all the same thing. The same thing with the so-called, you know, what they like to call mix. Because all that stuff coming together because remember Drake has the Jewish Ashkenazi connections, the false Jewish. As it's written in Revelation 2:9, those who call themselves Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And then, you know, he's the dragon. And remember, his father's is Judah, and he come out of Memphis. You know, he had a Memphis connection with the altars. Same as Obama, how Obama dad is Kenyan, and then his mother is from Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, and she's Jewish. You know, all the same allegory, because Kenya is where the true Mount Kenya is where the true Mount Zion is. That's the southern border of the altars. It's the highest mountain. And then you got Kendrick Lamar, you know, he comes out of you know, obviously out of Judah, you know, destroying the dragon. I put that in the comment section when I broke this down too. But, you know, he had that song Count Me Out. Remember, he was standing on top of the altar and all the people in white in their white robes cheering him on. But he's saying he loved when you count him out because he don't want the Messiah to get to that altar. You know, that stuff's serious, man. You see that? Covered in red. The blood of the Lamb blasphemy. You know. And you know when you got that Celtic leaf, the clover just goes into the clovus, which clovus just derives from the name Lewis. You see? It deals with Lewis. So it's the clovis, you know. You know, as it's written in Songs of Solomon 2:1, I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valley. You know. That's why Kendrick said he's the Alpha and Omega. You kind of see what I mean on that song Family Ties. Remember on Family Ties, he's the Alpha and Omega that bring the family, the bloodline together back to the altars. But he loved when you count him out, you know. He love when you do that. Count him out, because the Messiah won't get the mission done, is what he's saying. He'll just be alone, you know. Depressed about it. You see how he's depressed in therapy, you know, depressed about it, you know. Dealing with the actress who was on Fast and Furious with the cars, you know. This stuff is deep, man. They're sick. You know, that the Lewis is just what they called the Ankh, but they, you know, the Ankh is what they called it, but in reality it's the Lewis, it's the key of David. That's why they want to hold it themselves and be their own gods. So it all deals with the body of Christ coming together with the head, the Alpha and Omega, the key of David, the Lewis. So that's why the pharaohs used to use it to break their nose, because remember when Christ was crucified, remember they stabbed him in his lungs so he couldn't breathe. You know? So they want to break the nose so they can breathe and be their own gods. You see what I'm saying? They don't want the breath of life from the Father in them, you know? They want to become their own gods, be their own most highs, be their own creators. Remember, Grant Williams is very significant. Remember, he said it really made me, you know, it made me upset. Like, I couldn't get a Celtics tribute video. You know, he wanted a tribute video. You see what I'm saying? He won his, you know, he won his praise. Williams won his praise. The Messiah won his praise. You see, they want to keep him out. That's why remember he played for Boston. Remember that? Grant Williams played for Boston, and he played for Dallas Mavericks. You know? You see, with the 7-6 on his jersey, and then the 12 for the 12 tribes of Israel. And then, you know, the name Grant just goes into Revelation 3:21. To him that overcoming will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even also overcame and sat down with me and my Father in his throne. So, you know, being granted to sit upon the altar. You sit upon the throne that overcome, to stand on the altar. So you see how Grant Williams, you see that? They all go into that Grant Hill. It just goes into the whole theme of the Capitol Hill, dealing with the law, you know. Remember at Capitol Hill, remember you had that man Eugene fighting off those people that was running in, invading Capitol Hill of D.C. when Trump was leaving. Because the name Eugene, that just goes to Popeye. Remember how Popeye used to be on the ark battling against Brutus, which is just symbolic of Obama trying to take the bride of heaven, olive oil, away. You know? Trying to seduce the bride of heaven, trying to seduce the children of God. You know? But you see how Popeye, remember Eugene used to know everything about him. Remember it said Eugene knows everything. It just represented the Holy Spirit, Eugene the Jeep. You know? So all that stuff come together, you see. So it just deals with the grant, just deals with the law, you know, the law flowing from Zion. That's why I want my tribute video, man, you know. And you see Willie Mays had to die off too, because you see they had to have a Willie Mays, because, you know, that just goes into the San Francisco Giants. You know, they want to be the Giants. They're the men of renown. They're the ones who saying they run the world. So you see there the false Williams had to die off. Jerry West had to die off. Bill Walton had to die off. Bill Russell had to die off. You know, all those antichrists has to move out the way so the real saints and the Messiah can be revealed. You know. So you see how Willie Mays had to die off around the time of the finals too. And you know it was all set up because Obama said that he was a one-of-a-kind man. One of a kind. You know, he gave him his millstone. You know, and let them be prepared for the lake of fire, you know. It's crazy. And you see how the Cubs, you know, Chicago, you know how Obama had a Chicago connection. So you see San Francisco battled the Cubs. It was already set up for them to play around the time Willie Mays die off, you know. All symbolic. But I'm going to end that right here. Thank you for watching Hide and Seek TV. Much more is coming, man. Peace.